Many high net worth Africans on the continent are investing in countries overseas, mainly Europe and the Caribbean. These investments run into millions of dollars annually. And yes, there is a perk to this. It's citizenship by investment. Citizenship by investment are schemes whereby high net worth individuals in developing countries, mostly in Africa, invest in other economies overseas to boost their portfolio and gain a second passport. The industry has been around for almost 4 decades and has grown to roughly an $18 billion market, according to Savory Partners, with Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Malta, Montenegro, St. Kitts and Nevis topping the investment destinations list. South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya and Morocco, which are the top 5 Africa wealth markets, have an increased demand for the program by their high net worth populations.
The drive was really the mobility. How do I give myself that freedom to move easily from one country to another?
Yele Adewale, a Nigerian business consultant, is one of such investors who has completed his documentation process for citizenship to St. Kitts and Nevis. He tells me what inspired this move.
The beauty is you can wake up tomorrow. I think the one I run presently has about 180 countries. You can wake up tomorrow and say, okay, let's go here. And then you just on the move. The only limiting factor is your ticket.
How much did you need to invest to become a citizen?
In terms of pricing, I think it varies between $100,000 and $220,000. So it depends on where the budget you want to put on it. At the end of the day, you achieve the same output, which is the passport you're looking for. I did the real estate, and the catch in the real estate is it's a form of investment now. After 5 years, the property is available to you. For my investment, they were paying about $10,000 on annual basis, $10,000 on annual basis from the money that was invested. So even over that 5-year period, there's a return of about $50,000 that you get. And after the 5 years, you're allowed to sell off the property.
Although seemingly a prolific scheme, there have been victims of investment fraud, some of whom declined speaking on camera. However, Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, says, "We have gone through the records of the commission, and there are no reported cases of high net worth individuals defrauded by agents, fake or otherwise, in the Citizenship by Investment program." According to the International Monetary Fund, offering citizenship in return for investment has been a win-win for some small Caribbean states, given that the substantial inflows of funds from these programs have helped boost employment and growth. For instance, inflows to the public sector alone in St. Kitts and Nevis had grown to nearly 23% of the GDP as of 2013. Adewale Desunmu of Savory Partners tells us about the increasing demand of this program by Africans and how the process works.
Corporate due diligence is done on the clients and their spouse and any child above the age of 16. They issue a letter of acceptance. So the letter of acceptance is when they are okay with the result of the due diligence. The certificate of naturalization is issued and then sent to the immigration for production of the passports. Averagely, you get second citizenship between 4 to 6 months, or some even in 90 days in case of Vanuatu.
We understand that the target market for these programs are usually high net worth individuals. So what happens to people who are lower class or low income earners? How do they benefit from programs like this?
The citizenship by investment is actually designed for people that don't have the time to meet up with residency obligations. So they're actually using what they have to get what they don't have the luxury of, which is time. So now, For a medium class earner, they have a lot of time. You can actually you can afford to stay in a country and meet up with their residency obligations.
Following the COVID-19 pandemic, the industry has witnessed a high demand from high net worth individuals of both developing and advanced economies seeking to create portfolios of complementary citizenship and residence options through investment migration programs in order to access health, security, and options in terms of where to live, conduct business, study, and invest for themselves and their families. Esiri Agbeyi, an investment analyst, explains the impact of outward direct investments on African economies.
You find that they are primary sources of foreign exchange for those economies. And so there is a tendency for them to make it a lot more attractive. What that would then mean on the flip side is that you don't have that investment situated in Nigeria, in Africa, to fund things such as capital investments in sectors that are requiring or in need of those. You don't have it employing people because that investment has then gone overseas. The risk of money laundering then increases because you then want to ask questions, where is all this funding coming from? And one of the key cries is around multiple taxation. Another thing is also around our immigration policies. Countries now are beginning to free up their immigration spaces so that they get a lot more people in at lower rates and that can be competitive in their business chains.
Could you please give us 3 strong tips that potential investors who want to take investments overseas must consider or should consider before throwing their money into this business?
One thing that's important is just doing that due diligence and understanding the lay of the land. To consider what your tax footprint might be having invested. Of course, before you then do that investment, you're going to be doing the pros and cons analysis, doing a cost-benefit analysis to understand or identify the most beneficial location.